Evening, everyone. Hope you're well. Big up to all of you for being here nice and early. It feels good to be back. To be honest, I've had a little bit of a break, I suppose, so to speak, over the last few days. Starting to get back into the swing of things now. It's been a strange few days. I enjoyed my holiday, and then obviously the news of Kevin put a little bit of a dampener on it. Me and myself and Lee Judges and Sophie, Tom, Harry, and the guys were all getting back into the swing of things now. We're trying to move on as normal, which has been really tricky. So thank you all so much for all the support. Thanks for all the lovely comments for yesterday's stream. We wanted to have a couple of days and do it properly. We wanted to make sure that we'd dealt with it as best that we can. Not that it's been easy. And tomorrow night there'll be a really, really good show, which I must have you all there for. Tomorrow night on the Hybrid Squad is going to be massive. Absolutely massive. Huge tribute for Kevin tomorrow night. Please make sure you're there. Please make sure that you join us. There'll be myself, Sophie, Harry, Tom, Lee, Mike, Albert, and many, many, many faces, trust me, that will be being part of what will be a terrific show. So please make sure you set your dates and your timers and your diaries, pencil it in. Tomorrow, straight after the football, 10 p.m, Hybrid Squad tomorrow evening. Make sure you're there. Thank you all so much for all of the messages that I've received in relation to Kev. Thank you so much for all of the support that I've had in the last few days. It's been fantastic. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate how the tribute was received. Yesterday, it was difficult for me and Lee, and the amount of messages that we got is so overwhelming, so humbling. So thank you so much for that. I must say that. We need to move on. Going to be talking football. Going to mention the Euros, but not really too much. I wanted to do a little bit of a stream as to the links of Arsenal today because it has been a while, and I wanted to try and do something every day. It's been difficult to do something every day for obvious reasons, but I'm kind of back now. So, yeah, myself and Lee Judges will be on Lee Judges TV as much as possible. I'll be here as much as possible, and need to get both the channels back going again. So please make sure you support by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already, because it means so much. It's really important. Repping the new Arsenal shirt. It's come out. I've got it. Rice 41 is on the back. Absolutely has to be. Probably on par with Saka as my favourite player right now. Let me know in the chat how you are. Let me know if you've got the new shirt. And if you are going to get the shirt, what number are you going to get on the back of it? That's what I'd love to know. Big up to Mum, big up to Football Fan View, big up to Grang, big up to Strapped On, big up to Football Fan View, Amarch, Jazinho, Nathan, Jake, Reggie, and Steve. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. And let's talk. I'm going to touch on the Euros today. I've got to be honest with you. Germany are looking good. And I wondered if it was because Scotland were looking poor. But if I'm honest with you, Germany are just looking good. And I think people have forgotten about Germany as being mentioned as winning the tournament. It's the home nation, of course. It's a squad at the moment that's probably the strongest it's been in a while. I look at the bench and think they've actually got players they can bring on now that for pretty much every position, they've kind of got, somebody in every position that can come on and strengthen the team. I look at Sane and Gnabry. I look at Musiala. I look at Florian Wirtz, Kai Havertz. They've still got the likes of Cruz. They've still got the likes of Goretzka. Obviously, Rudiger at the back. You forget Manuel Neuer in goal. I've got to say, Germany are my favourites at the moment to win it. And France were the ones that had to win it at the start before a ball was kicked. But I think I even overlooked Germany. You know, people forget that they've got Gundogan. I think there's some names that I just not forgotten were German, but I've just completely left my mind. Kimmich, I'm still missing names here. Germany have got a very, very good side. And I looked at Portugal last night and I think, they've also got a good squad. I mean, when you can afford to bring on people like Pedro Neto, who we'll come on to in a bit, you've got a good squad there. Diogo Jota coming on. Let's be real. It's a very, very impressive squad. So I think the people that are saying England should win this tournament because everybody else is rubbish are wrong. I don't think everybody else is rubbish. But what I will say is that other than France and Germany, England cannot be sitting there and saying that they haven't got the squad. Now, it's just come out and broke that Gareth Southgate will not be naming a changed side. It will be an unchanged side tomorrow night, 5 p.m. against Denmark. I've got to say, I think we'll win. But I said we'd win comfortably against Serbia. We didn't. If we can't beat Slovenia and Denmark, we've got to go into these games now and just go for it. And I do think that although he's not going to change the starting 11, I kind of feel like that is a really stubborn and potentially foolish thing to do. One, I think you should kind of freshen it up anyway, particularly and look at how you learn from your mistakes. I don't think it's right to not be stubborn in certain games, but for this one with Gareth Southgate, I think he got quite a lot wrong. I don't think the left-hand side was good. And if that continues, we're not going to be able to get the best out of our team. We're not going to be a balanced side. And I think one of the biggest mistakes looking back at the time of England is to force in the best players in the side and not playing as a team. And I have to say, I can understand why Jordan Pickford plays. I wouldn't put him at right back, but Walker is at least a right back. I would play Trent, but at least Kyle Walker is a right back. Stones likewise, Guehi likewise. Trippier isn't a left back because he's not got a left foot. He doesn't go out the outside. He doesn't give us width, and he's always cutting inside. In the midfield, I can understand why Rice and Bellingham are playing there, but it needs to be Foden with him. Declan Rice and Bellingham need to play in a pivot and Foden in the 10. And then I think it needs to be Saka, Palmer and Kane. Or Saka, Gordon and Kane. You need to be looking at a left winger playing on the left. Now, I know people will say that Palmer's a right wing. Switch it round then. Allow him and Saka to switch sides if you want. I don't care. But I don't think it's worked with Trent in the middle and Foden on the left. I really don't. And I would personally put Trent right back, Foden in the middle, and choose, by dropping Walker, choose to put Palmer or Gordon on the left. That's what I would do. But it doesn't look like Gareth Southgate's going to try that. I don't think Trent Alexander-Arnold works in the middle. I don't think he's shocking there. I think he actually was all right the other night. I think he got a bit of a harsh... You look at the stats, he didn't do that bad, to be fair to him. I know he didn't look great at times, but nobody did, other than Bellingham maybe. And I thought Rice and Saka. Everyone else was a bit poor. He did a good job. But other than that, I weren't sure, if I'm honest, that everyone had an amazing game. So I have to be brutally honest and say that Trent, for me, at right back, although people say he can't defend, what he does going forward outweighs what he can't do defensively. Because him going forward, it is one of the best. He is generational. And I think LB said it yesterday or the day before on the terrace. Yeah, we've got 2 or 3 generational players, and he's playing them out of position other than Bellingham. And some might say that Bellingham shouldn't be in the number 10. He should be in the number 8. But we've got Bellingham who plays 10 for Real Madrid but wasn't really playing 10 for England. We've got Foden who plays 10 for Man City but wasn't really playing 10 for them. He was playing left. We've got Trent who plays right back, who's playing in midfield. Trippier's playing right back for Newcastle. He's playing left back. What is Southgate doing here? I'll just pick all the best players that are playing for the club, but I'll just put them all in different positions. But because they're all on the field, it should work. It doesn't work like that, man. You've either got to play your best 11, and if that one player doesn't get in, you've got to just allow them to come off. And stop with these negative substitutions. Not that I don't like Gallagher and Kobe Mainu, but that was a game that was needed on the left-hand side. We needed to bring on a left back and a left winger, or at least a left winger. You've got Gordon, you've got Palmer. You left them both. It's like, what are you doing? Kobe Mainu and Gallagher getting the nod ahead of the left-hand side that was clearly unbalanced. So I can't see that again. I don't have any faith in the manager to believe that this is going to take us forward and cross the line. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be a tournament for either Germany or France. But I could be wrong. That's the Euros. Let's talk a little bit about Arsenal. The links, there hasn't been many. But the players that we are linked with, Osimhen is one of them. There's reports today to say in Italy that we are preparing a bid for Victor Osimhen. There's reports in London saying that Arsenal are still considering it and it might not happen. I don't know what to believe, guys. I have to say it. I don't know what to believe. But what I will tell you is this. If Osimhen comes to Arsenal, it will be at least an exciting signing. I don't think it would be the one that everybody gets off their seats for to say Arsenal are now going to win the league. But I think he's probably as best that we can get if you're not going to get Alexander Isak. Now, I'd like to pose a question to you. Would you rather us get an Osimhen, Tony, Watkins, Gyökeres or Boniface or somebody like that? Or would you rather us wait and go for Isak next summer? I don't think we can wait around anymore. I think we've been waiting long enough. I understand Newcastle don't want to sell Isak, but I kind of feel like we should be at least showing the ambition to try it out and say, look, here's 100 million. What do you want to do? If they knock it back, here's 120 million. What do you want to do? Because then at least it allows Newcastle to consider it. And what it also does is it allows Isak to go, okay, no, I fancy it, and then start to get unsettled. Now, Newcastle fans won't want to hear that. And let's be real, it's not going to happen. But I'd rather us kind of try to do that instead of going, okay, we'll give up. We'll go for somebody else. If that's the guy you want, go get him. I would be more than happy to go and get Victor Gyökeres. I'd be more than happy to go and get Victor Osimhen. One of the two Victors are really the ones I'd want. Ivan Toney, likewise, I'm a fan of, always have been. Not sure about Watkins. Not sure about some of the other names mentioned. But certainly Osimhen would be one that I would at least say, do you know what? Interesting to see what he can do in an Arsenal shirt. So let's see, man. I think Osimhen's probably going to cost close to 100 million, if not a bit more. He's definitely going to want 250 plus a week, maybe even more than that. He's a player that a lot of people are saying has a lot of injury problems. And let's be real, anybody can get injured that you buy nowadays. He's also a player I look at and think, yeah, do you know what? There's an opportunity for any player to get injured. But if he doesn't get injured, he's going to score goals. I also don't look at Osimhen and see him anywhere near similar to an Isak. For me, he's more of a player in the box who's a killer. He can finish, let me tell you that. I mean, last season, everybody wanted him because of his finishing. And that's what we're after, Arsenal. Arsenal have got the pretty footballers. We've got the players that hold the ball up. Hell, the two players I've just mentioned there are Jesus and Kai Havertz. We've got both of them. Jesus can play. He's a very, very technically gifted footballer. He can bring players into it. We know what Saka, Martinelli and Trossard can do. Up top, we know what Kai Havertz can do. But Osimhen is so different to that. Osimhen is the one that's going to finish it for you. When we were playing Bayern Munich, he threw on Eddie Nketiah. Imagine if we threw on Osimhen or Kai Havertz into that situation. That to me is a hell of a lot better. So there's a scenario of Osimhen, and I actually do like it. I can't lie. So let's see. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if we want him 100%, but at the moment, he's the one that we are linked with the most. So we've got to talk about it. Are we interested in Osimhen or not? Would you risk spending that much money on him? Or would you rather spend a little bit less on Victor Gyökeres, who's 84 million release clause, apparently? Or would you rather go less than that and go and spend 50 or 60 on Tony? Let me know. Let's talk a little bit about our midfield, shall we? Earlier on, Lee and I did a show on his channel, and it was interesting to talk about where we're going in midfield. Now, let's just talk about what our midfield looks like currently. We're in a situation where we could actually upgrade on the 6, the 8, and the 10. Not in the first team, of course, because we've got Rice and Ødegaard, but in one of those positions we can upgrade, and in the other positions we can upgrade on the backup. Now, we know Jorginho, Partey, and Rice are there currently, and Ødegaard's there also. Fabio Vieira and Smith Rowe, there's doubts about their futures. El Neni is gone. To me, we need a 6 and an 8. And I think we need to get a world-class midfielder and a class midfielder. The class midfielder I've mentioned is Youssouf Fofana, who is being rumoured as little as 15 to 25 million pounds that we can get him for. That, for me, is a steal. He's just turned 25. He's a French international. He's box to box. He's got all the attributes needed for physical Premier League league table that I think could be a real good bargain for Arsenal. I definitely think he'd be interested in coming, and Monaco have said that he's leaving. But that leaves you where else you go. Now, you could go and get Zubimendi like people want, but I'm not too sure about him for one. And actually, I don't think he wants to leave. So it's going to have to be somebody different. It's going to have to be a Bruno Guimaraes. It's going to have to be a Frankie de Jong. But actually, the one we're linked with is Amadou Onana. Now, I actually quite like Onana. He's 22 years old, which is younger than I thought he was. He's also a player that I actually think for Belgium does quite a good job as well as for Everton. And I looked at the situation of our last game this season, and Onana dominated. I thought he was actually their best player by quite some time and quite some way. Would he do a great job? I think he's more similar to a Thomas Partey than a box-to-box, which is why I think, let's not make it a mouthful, but Onana and Fofana both come into Arsenal would actually be pretty good signings. Not world class, not wow, we're going to win the league. But I think in the options and the opportunities we've got to sign them, I don't think they would be bad signings for Arsenal at all. When you've got Rice and Ødegaard, if they were starting every single game for you, you might think, is that what we need? The Everton and Monaco midfielders coming to Arsenal to take us forward. I'm no snob because I've seen some unbelievable players that have come from clubs that are much less than Arsenal. But I don't think that's going to light up the Premier League. But Bruno Guimaraes, Declan Rice and Ødegaard would. Frankie de Jong, Declan Rice and Ødegaard would. And then you've got Fofana as backup, Jorginho as backup. That's looking pretty good. So that's the sort of midfield that I'm dreaming for and hoping for. But are we going to get that? I'm really not so sure, if I'm honest with you. I'm really not so sure. Now let's talk about a position that we haven't really spoken much on this channel. We've spoken about goalkeepers. We've spoken about defenders. We'll come back to that in a minute. But the right-hand side is definitely a talking point. Reece Nelson, there's clubs interested. Crystal Palace, Fulham, Wolves, I think West Ham as well, and Forest, all interested in Reece Nelson. Eddie Nketiah is attracting interest from clubs such as Palace, Wolves, Fulham, and there's one more as well. That means they're both going to go. Now, I don't know how much for. I've no idea. We'll talk about that in a minute. But that leaves the right-hand side pretty bare if Saka was to get injured. We have got players that can play there. Jesus, Martinelli, Trossard, they've all played there before. But I don't think they are out-and-out wingers. If it was me and I had to pick one player to back up Saka, it would be Gabriel Jesus. And that's why I believe a striker is absolutely needed 100% this summer. But I look as well at what we might be able to do on that right-hand side. And there's a player that I've mentioned for quite some time now, Pedro Neto. He came on last night for Portugal when they scored. He's a player that can play right, left, number 10, probably attacking 8, but he's more of a wide man. But he's also versatile, is my point. I don't think he's going to go for cheap. I think he's probably going to want, Wolves are probably going to want between 40 and 60 million, there or thereabouts, with some add-ons. But he's a baller. Now, straight away, you'll be saying, but he gets injured, Dan. Yeah, he does. He really does. I can't deny that. I can't defend that he does not get injured. But he's playing every minute for Wolves. They're trying to force him to play the 40 to 50 games that they play with the Cups and the Premier Leagues. He's not going to play that for Arsenal. He's probably going to be asked to play 20 games for Arsenal. And people might think, well, why is he going to go then? Because 20 games is not good for a footballer. It's not bad, though, when you're winning trophies. It's not bad when you're in a title race. Would you rather play 20 games for Arsenal in a title race, potentially win an FA Cup, potentially win a Champions League, potentially win a League Cup, whatever it be? Or would you rather play 35 games for Wolves and try and get in the top half and win nothing? It's a hard one as a footballer, isn't it? You want to play football first of all, right? But let's be real, I'm not really a massive lover of these, oh, but we've got Saka, oh, but we've got... We need a squad. We need a squad, which is why I believe we should be going for Elise. We should be going for Pedro Neto. We should be all over Isak. We should be going for Mark Guehi and Branthwaite and Diamande. All of these names, Arsenal should be all over them. It doesn't bother me whether the fans think who would play. Let the manager decide that. Let the manager decide who's going to play alongside your back four. Let the manager decide who your midfield is going to be when everyone's fit. Let the manager decide who plays number 9 and who plays right wing. That's not for us to decide, right? We need a squad. And the reason we haven't been able to get across the line, or one of the reasons, is because our squad hasn't quite been there. The adequate cover has not been there if somebody gets injured. So I need to see now some squad depth. I don't want to be seeing Zinchenko. I don't want to be seeing Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah, Fabio Vieira, Cedric, El Neni. These are players that I don't believe have a place in a squad that are going for a title. And that's what Arsenal are right now. So if you look at that and you think, wow, Pedro Neto is now the new Reece Nelson. Wow, Havertz is the backup striker and Jesus. Last season it was Eddie. Wow, we've got Trossard and Smith Rowe that can come on now. We've actually got Tomiyasu and Timber. We've actually got a bench that has Fofana on it now. And Jorginho is the one that you're thinking, don't think he's got a place on the bench now. He's going to have to be the El Neni of last year. That's how you improve and upgrade, right? That's what we've got to be seeing. So Pedro Neto would be a fantastic signing for Arsenal. Fantastic. Versatile, can play both sides, and could cover for Odegaard potentially if injured. The other player that apparently we're interested in is Xavi Simmons. Now, I've spoken about Xavi Simmons for a long time. I knew nothing about him until 2 seasons ago when we saw him against Arsenal at PSV. I thought, who is this guy? Keep an eye out for Xavi Simmons in this Euros. He's Dutch. He's playing for Holland. And I think he is an absolute baller, in my opinion. Take a look out for him. I haven't seen Holland yet. I imagine he's in the squad. I haven't seen him yet. But I think he's an absolute baller. I'm a big, big fan. And I just feel like there's an opportunity there. PSG are interested in loaning him again, apparently. Now, I don't know if that loan's going to be with an obligation or option to buy. But for me, I've never really been a fan of developing someone else's players. But at the same time, I'm always looking at the scenario where if he can actually do a job for Arsenal, there might be the opportunity for him to look at the PSG and Arsenal situation and go, look, I know they're not interested in selling me, but I actually really enjoyed my stint at Arsenal there, and I'm more than happy to go to sign for them. You just don't know what happens there. You know, we started that with Odegaard, and then we looked at getting him on loan, and then we looked at and then we got him and we signed him. Xavi Simmons would be a fantastic signing. I'm a big, big fan. I think he's a great, great player. So I think we've got to get a player like that. I really do. Then we looked defensively. What have we got defensively? I think we're okay as things stand. I don't think we've got any massive problem. The only problem I will say is I do actually feel that we do need something on the right-hand side of our defence. Not as a right back, but as backup to Saliba. Could Ben White and Tomiyasu cover Saliba? Yeah, they could. But what happens when Ben White and Saliba gets injured? Who do we play then? Tomiyasu and Timber, I suppose? But we're then struggling on the left-hand side then. So it's going to be really interesting to see what we do defensively. I think somebody will come in. I don't know what position it will be. I don't think it will be a starter. I think we'll get somebody who's versatile that's going to back us up. Now, there's a lot of options for us. Joel Harto is being mentioned. Ferdi Kadioglu is being mentioned. I don't know, Joel Harto. I think he'll probably end up staying at Ajax. He's 18, just turned, and I think he's happy there. I think he wants to see his career there, for now anyway. Ferdi Kadioglu, I'm not too sure about, but played very, very well for Turkey yesterday from what people were saying. Left back who's versatile, can play left-sided centre-back, left wing-back, left wing, left back in the changing room. He's pretty much everywhere. So I think that is a player that we might actually look at potentially. But I don't know that the left-hand side is where we should be looking at. And I'll tell you why. We have Gabriel left centre-back. We have Kivior left centre-back cover. We have Tomiyasu and Timber that can play there also. And we have Zinchenko and Timber that can play left back. And Tomiyasu left back. Zinchenko. Do we need another one? Not for me. Right-hand side, we've got Ben White, Timber and Tomiyasu that can all play right back. But we've only got Saliba that can play right-sided centre-back, in my opinion, comfortably. Tomiyasu potentially can. Been very impressed with him, actually, when he has played there. Ben White, yeah, we started there, but let's be real, he wasn't great, was he? It wasn't like, wow, this guy's a monster. Otherwise, he would have stayed there. Wouldn't have gone right back. He's a right back. He's not a right centre-back. So, yeah, I'm kind of looking at right-sided centre-back thinking, yeah, Diamande would be an excellent option for me. Potentially Mark Gay, he was linked yesterday. Linked with him last summer as well. Be interested in that. But then you've got the question of, are they going to come to Arsenal? Or would they rather go and play first team for Man United? Would they rather go and play first team for Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs even? Maybe those are the options that they go for. Newcastle. All of these teams that we are now competing with are all wanting the same positions as us. They all want a centre-half. They all want a DM. They all want a midfielder that's creative. They all want a striker. They all want a creative winger. Go ask Tottenham, Newcastle, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United. They're not going to go, we don't want any of those positions. We just want left backs. They're going to go for these players as well. So we have to be understanding of that. And I think where Arsenal are, in terms of pulling power and as a club, we're definitely ahead of them. Where we're not ahead of them is first team football and being able to offer that. They can be able to offer that much more than we can. So that's where I'm at. Listen, people, make sure you smash the like button. We've not even hit 50 likes yet, so make sure that you get the like button hit. Make sure you've subscribed to the channel if you haven't done so already, please. We're on our way to 30k, which is amazing, so please make sure that you support the channel by doing that. Just those two buttons are absolutely free and it means the world. Hit the like, hit subscribe. It means the world, so thank you very much. It'll be job done. Let's talk about the goalkeeping situation before we close, shall we? Because I'm in a situation in goal where I'm a little bit confused. I don't quite know what everybody wants. I have been not kind of ripped for it, but I've been kind of concerned. I've been kind of questioned, I suppose, raised eyebrows on my suggestion of a goalkeeper. I did something on Tom Canton's channel while he was on holiday where we all kind of pre-recorded stuff, and it was myself and Charles Watts and Sophie and Deluded Guna and Clive Palmer. There was loads of us. I don't know if you saw it on Guna Talk, but I recommend you go and watch it. And we did some clips on the goalkeeping situation. Some people had said get an experienced head, Chesney. I think Lucas Fabianski was even mentioned, a Kasper Schmeichel type. You know, when Ben Foster and Scott Carson and Richard Wright and all the old goalkeepers, they used to just come along and be the experienced head. I can buy that. I can get behind that if we were to do that. I don't want a number two I've not heard of. I don't want a number two that's young. I don't want a number two that's middle-aged, 25, who wants first-team football. It's probably the hardest position to buy. But hear me out. What is going to happen is David Raya will be number one. He'll be signed for Arsenal. Ramsdale will be sold, and we will get a number two goalkeeper. I don't know if it's going to be Justin Bilo or Jason Steele, or if it's going to be someone we've never heard of, or if it's going to be an experienced player that we do know. But what I would like to happen is something that, unfortunately, Arteta will not do. I would go and release the clause of the Porto goalkeeper, who I believe is around £63 million. Diogo Costa is a player that I really rate. He's a goalkeeper at the moment that's playing for Portugal. He's the number one. I'm a big fan. I think he is the closest that we are going to get to an Alisson and Ederson. And alongside Jan Oblak and Michael Maignan, who are the other two goalkeeping options that I would look at going for, I think we would have a world-class goalkeeper on our hands. And then David Raya becomes number two. Because if you believe that David Raya is the number one, let me ask you this. Is he any better than Bernd Leno? The answer is no. He might be better with his feet, but he's not really next level, is he? You don't look at Fulham's goalkeeper and Arsenal's and go, "Whoa, yeah, there's a huge level of difference there." There's not, guys. Is David Raya massive, massive upgrade on Aaron Ramsdale? No. Is David Raya better than the goalkeeper that Arsenal had in 2020 lockdown COVID? The one that won us the FA Cup. He now plays for Aston Villa. In fact, he's nowhere near as good as Emi Martinez, in my opinion. So we need a number one, man. And I'm not so sure that David Raya is good enough to be a number one. I know he is in Arteta's eyes and in some of the fans' eyes. But I have to say this and be truthful with it. I think we could upgrade on him. And I think we can do better. So I would like to see us go in for a Jan Oblak, Michael Maignan or Diogo Costa and allow Raya to be number two. If he doesn't like it, he can go. But we get a better goalkeeper that way. There's another thing to this. Do not be surprised if Aaron Ramsdale stays at Arsenal. I don't think he will. But unless someone's going to be offering 35 million for him, I don't think we should be selling him. We bought Aaron Ramsdale 2 seasons ago now. Maybe over, was it more than that? Yeah, over 2 seasons ago. And we paid £25 million for him, and he'd been relegated twice. So why are people going to be offering us 20 to 25 million when he's been in a title race 2 seasons running and Premier League goalkeeper of the year in one of them? We've got to be looking to get 35 million at the very bare minimum. And if we don't get that, he stays at Arsenal. I'm sorry, we have to be ruthless in both ways. You have to get rid of players you don't want. But at the same time, they've got to go for the right amount of money. Because there's being ruthless and there's being stupid. It's like me saying now, Kieran Tierney, just give us 500k. Aaron Ramsdale, not in our plans, just give us 2 million. Reece Nelson, not in our plans, give us 5 million. Nun Tavares, just have him for free. Lokonga, another one, have him for free. I need to be ruthless and get rid of these. No, you don't. You need to be ruthless, but you've got to be clever. This is where Edu comes in. This is where the negotiating skills come in. This is where the transfers sales are. I want people to do me a favour. Does anybody remember 1999 to 2000? We sold Nicolas Anelka to Real Madrid. Since then, 1999, 25 years ago, how many players have we sold for more than what we sold Nicolas Anelka for? Does anybody know? Surely it's like 12, 13, something like that, right? Because it was 25 years ago. 2 is the answer. So in 25 years, where football's gone mad, the transfer market's mental, we've sold Alex Iwobi and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain for more money than Nicolas Anelka 25 years ago. That is piss poor. I'm sorry, that is piss poor for a club the level of Arsenal. Selling players, it's a shambles. Absolute shambles. That Liverpool can sell Ryan Brewster for £25 million, who no one's ever heard of now. That they can get rid of Jordan Ibe for 15 million. That they can sell Dominic Solanke for around 15 to 20. Yes, he's good now, but at the time he wasn't. That they can go and spend and save X, Y, Z. Seriously, this is poor. So when we sell players like Iwobi, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Joe Willock, JB has reminded, is another one. It's poor. So I looked at it the other day and it shocked myself because I remember Anelka going, I think it was 25 million or something like that, mad money at the time. And it was crazy to think that we'd only really made more money from the Anelka days by a few £1 million on Oxlade-Chamberlain, Iwobi, and as JB says, Joe Willock. So Arsenal got to get better at selling is the bottom line, people. I remember when Guendouzi was tipped to go to Barcelona for 50 million and we sold him for 10. I remember when West Brom offered Kieran Gibbs 14 million and we sold him the following year for 7. I remember when Maitland-Niles was offered by Wolves at 15 million and we sold him for around about 8. This is the problem we've got at the club. The selling is bad. We've got to get better at it. I don't want to go sell Saka or Martinelli, but at the same time, we've got to make some seriously good money out of this. Eddie Nketiah should be going for close to 30. Smith Rowe, if gone, should be going for between 30 and 40. Fabio Vieira should be going for 25, 30. Reece Nelson should be going for 15, 20. These are the sort of players I'm talking about. I'm not talking about going getting 75 million for Martinelli. That's not how my mind's working. So it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So that's got to be better. For sure, that's got to be better. If I had to give them the question of what will Arsenal do this summer position-wise, a goalkeeper is going to come in, a defender is going to come in, at least one midfielder is going to come in, and at least one attacker is going to come in. So that's 4 players at least. I expect Arsenal at the bare minimum to bring 4 in because I think there's going to be about 7 or 8 at least that leave. So I'm expecting a busy window for Arsenal. And Arsenal have got to get this one spot on. I know we say it every year, but there really is no more time for Mikel Arteta to be mucking around now. There's none of this, let's buy this 21-year-old for a Brazil who might be good in 5 years' time. Let's get this defender everyone's talking about who's just turned 18. I don't want any of that. We've got to be going in and going Declan Rice type signings. Boom, boom, boom. Because let me tell you this now. Manchester City fans are sitting there right now thinking, who are Arsenal going to get? If we line up with an Osimhen and a Bruno G and, I don't know, Diamande comes in, Pedro Neto comes in, they're going to be sitting there going, oh my God, what a bloody summer they've just had. If we go and we get a goalkeeper like Justin Bilo, a defender like Jorel Harto, a midfielder of Zubimendi and Fofana, and a striker of a Sesko level, they're going to go, oh, thank God for that. It's another couple of trophies coming on Man City's way. We can't allow that. We can't allow it. We absolutely 100% have to go for it this summer, big time. So let's see. What about this for 11? Nathan, big up yourself, man. Says Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber, Onana, Rice, Odegaard, Saka, Osimhen, and Trossard. Listen, this is what I'm saying to you, bro, right? The bench for that team as well, if you look at it right there, you're going to have a backup goalkeeper on the bench. You're going to have Tomiyasu on the bench, Kivior on the bench, Jorginho on the bench, potentially another midfielder. You're going to have Smith Rowe. You're going to have Martinelli, and you're going to have Havertz. There's some serious subs there that can come on and impact the game. Gabriel Jesus is another one I haven't mentioned. Zinchenko is another one I haven't. So you look at it and think, actually, yeah, we need to be realistic about it to think that we can actually upgrade this squad by some way. And that would all of a sudden allow you to actually have some impact subs instead of flinging on Eddie and Reece Nelson. And to be fair, I keep saying Reece Nelson. He didn't even bloody fling him on. He used to use Eddie, and that was it, really. So let's be real. We need to upgrade it. It needs to be a 9 out of 10 window. And I'm really hoping that we have the balls and the ruthlessness to go for it 100%. So that's where I'm at. Listen, people, I'm going to try and do a stream tomorrow. I'm very busy tomorrow. I've got literally a stream with Lee, a stream on Highbury Squad. I might not get to do something tomorrow, but I hope I will, because obviously work commitments as well. And England are playing, so it might be hard for me to do something tomorrow. Maybe I'll do something after the Highbury Squad. We'll have to see. But I'd see how I can try and get on and do something. If not, then we will try and do something the following day afterwards. Listen, much love. Make sure you do me a favor. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. And make sure tomorrow evening at 10 p.m. you're over the Highbury Squad. Please make sure you do that, people. It's absolutely needed. I think you'll enjoy it. So please make sure that you make a note and be there tomorrow night. See you next time. Take it easy and up the Arsenal. Laters.